Hello, I'm Kimberly, and welcome to the weekend edition of the Native News Update. It's Friday, January 17th. Many of the stories you hear here can be found at IndianCountryTV.com. And here's the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Decades after Native Americans were arrested for exercising treaty-protected fishing rights during a nationally watched confrontation with authorities, a proposal, House Bill 2080 in the Washington State Legislature, would give those who were jailed a chance to clear their convictions from the record. It's a start, said Billy Frank Jr., an Nisqually tribal elder who figured prominently during the fish wars, who was arrested dozens of times. Tribal members and others were roughed up, harassed, and arrested while asserting their right to fish for salmon off reservation under treaties signed with the federal government more than a century prior. The Northwest Fish-ins, which were known as the Fish Wars, and modeled after sit-ins of the civil rights movement, were part of a larger demonstration to assert American Indian rights nationwide. The Fish Acts, however, violated state regulations at the time and prompted raids by police and state game wardens and clashes between Indian activists and police. Lawmakers in the House Community Development, Housing and Tribal Affairs Committee are hearing public testimony on the bill January 21st. Workers in Davie, Florida found a 2,000-year-old intact human skeleton. The bones belonged to a 5-foot-tall woman who might have been a member of the Acosta tribe and estimated to be in her 20s and 30s at the time of her death. The remains did not indicate trauma, leading experts to conclude that she died of a disease. Indications that this can be a historical site led to a 3-week pause of the construction work on December 18th in accordance with Florida laws. The construction resumed January 9th. In the 1980s, 3 intact skeletons were discovered in the area. The latest archaeological dig is considered as one of the oldest recovered skeletons and among the best preserved. A large-scale mine in Alaska's Bristol Bay, home to nearly half the world's sockeye salmon and a dozen of Native American tribes, would ravage pristine streams and wetlands, according to the final peer review report released by the Environmental Protection Agency. The assessment is yet another setback for companies planning to exploit the region's resources. Tribes have fished in the area for a millennia, asked the EPA 3 years ago to protect the bay from Pebble Mine, an open-pit copper mine planned by Canada's Northern Dynasty Company. If permitted and completed, the mine would span as many as 186 square miles, equal to about 90,000 football fields, and become the largest of its kind in the world. In response, the agency studied the area's resources, finding that the mine size of Pebble would destroy up to 94 miles of streams and 5,350 acres of wetlands, ponds, and lakes in Bristol Bay. Environmentalists and the region's native communities argue that in addition to this report, the EPA should use its authority under the Clean Water Act or the National Environmental Policy Act to prevent mining projects from moving forward. Meanwhile, the EPA has yet to decide what actions to take next. The Cherokee Nation is preserving the roots of their heritage with a program that allows officially recognized members of the tribe to access seeds that are unique to the nation. Principal Chief Bill John Baker explained the seeds' lineage to CNN, saying this strand of seeds came with us on the Trail of Tears, referring to the forced migration of the Cherokee Nation from their land east of the Mississippi to an area that is now Oklahoma. The 15,000 people march took place in 1838 and 1839 under Andrew Jackson's Indian removal policy and resulted in the deaths of an estimated 4,000 Cherokees due to starvation and sickness. The seeds available through the Cherokee Heirloom Seed Project, which began in 2006, poses unique traits that have long made them valuable to the Cherokee Nation. The seeds have specific properties to them that are resistant to drought, and they are part of the Cherokee history, culture, and heritage. The Natural Resources Department's current offerings include 2 breeds of corn, 2 kinds of beans, 2 gourds, and medicinal tobacco. For more information, you can check out Cherokee.org. The Native American Music Association has just released a special benefits CD entitled Wolf, featuring songs from award-winning and nominated recording artists in an effort to honor and pay tribute to the wolf, especially the gray wolf, which may become delisted as an endangered species. The CD, which aims to honor and pay tribute to the wolf, will be donated as a fundraiser for the New York Wolf Conservation Center and other wildlife organizations who fear that a delisting of the gray wolf's endangered species protection by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is premature in its recovery and will leave it subject to recreational hunting and trapping. The Wolf CD retails for $9.99 and is available nationally for purchase through Amazon.com. It's also available on the NAMA website, namalive.com, as a digital download or hard copy. And that's another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. I'd like to thank you for joining me and have a grand day.